Hey y'all! And welcome to the Sorry Not Sorry Generation podcast, where we bring you a not-so-healthy dose of humor and reality as we get our hands dirty with some serious nostalgia and question everything.
Let's dive in.
Hey y'all!
Hey y'all!
It's Misty.
It's Ani.
And today we are watching a classic throwback movie from the millennial era of movies, the
93.
Very classic hit, Mrs. Doubtfire.
I haven't seen this film in a very, very long time. Like, I remember bits and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know I've seen it all the way through a couple times. I don't remember much of it.
Yeah, I know I've seen it. I definitely have seen it. I don't know if I've seen it more than once, but I know I've seen it. And, like, for anyone who might not have seen it, this is where that iconic line, like, "Help is on the way, dear," that's where this comes from. And it is, of course, done by Robin Williams. And
the one and only. It's also the movie where you get the meme where, you know, the whipped cream on the face, you go, "Hello!"
That's true, too. It is, honestly, if you have not seen this movie, go watch it, because the internet will make more sense. So, yeah. There are a few, like, movies and TV shows that, like, have embedded themselves into the internet so much that if you watch them, then the internet makes more sense. This is one of them. SpongeBob is another one, which I have learned as I've started to watch it for the first time.
Back to Mrs. Doubtfire. Yes, this is where Robin Williams tries to stay in his children's lives after, I don't know if they divorce.
I think so.
Or they're trying to divorce and he just wants to stay in his kid's life, so he pretends to be a nanny.
Yeah. And so he dresses up as a woman.
Full prosthetics and everying. Like, there's a scene where his friend is, like, making him the face of the woman, and he's like, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
Yeah. I guess this is going a little too much. Just, like, a little over the top. Like, just, yeah.
The things good parents do that want to be involved in their kids' lives, I guess.
Figaro! I like how it even tells you what instrument music it's playing. It's playing Figaro. Like when it said 20th century. Is that Robin Williams just saying Figaro? It sounds like Robin Williams saying Figaro.
Might be.
It starts off with an illustration, which I don't remember.
With an animated bird singing the Figaro song. That's
definitely Robin Williams singing. Oh, so he's in
a recording studio. That's why
he's a voice actor in this movie. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize his character's profession was a voice actor.
This is literally breaking the fourth wall. He's doing what he does in the movie.
It is. I also didn't know he sung Italian opera. The ASPCA, ASAP. He's just every voice.
He's the bird. Was that a cat?
Yeah, he's the bird and he's the blue cat. Oh, a cigarette in the cartoon. Yeah, that's definitely from the 90s. They would never do that today.
Now he's just going off script. It's what he'd always does. Yeah.
To the guy who is actually smoking a cigarette in the studio.
That Pudgy the parrot has a cigarette shoved into his mouth is morally wrong. Voice of God.
Like, Robin Williams' character decided, like, because he's voice acting for a bird that is smoking, and he has a moral objection to, like, them putting that in the cartoon because it's just going to influence a bunch of little kids to smoke. But as he's trying to explain this, every, like, producer and person in the room is smoking a cigarette.
Robin Williams doing what he does best. Ad-libbing.
So he quits. Robin Williams quits.
It's a Porky Pig.
So he quits. Just like he quits because he doesn't support them showing a bunch of kids cigarettes. And it's just
so like, they're in San Francisco, aren't they?
It looks like it. That many hills?
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
It's that or they're in the Northeast. But this looks more San Francisco.
Look at that station wagon.
Look at that steep-ass fucking hill.
God, I miss him so much.
Oh, I know.
Hey, it's Matilda!
Yeah.
And, oh my God, which one of the brothers is that?
So Robin Williams' character goes to the school where his kids are to pick them up. And he told them that he quit for, moral reasons?
Yeah. And his daughter just goes, ugh,
Actors.
Mom's not going to be home for another 4 hours.
Like, we're not going to tell about your report card just yet. Having Robin Williams for a dad would have been just, like, so cool.
Can you imagine what it must have been like for Zelda growing up?
Oh my gosh. So they go home and there's ducks.
Balloons.
And balloons and
a pony.
Ponies. Somebody's birthday party, I'm assuming. Otherwise, why else are you spending money when you just quit your job? Like, there's sheep and goats. There's geese with, like, little bandanas and ribbons on. There's a chicken and a donkey. You know, and a bun. And then they're all harassing their elderly neighbors.
Who is the camp counselor from Parent Trap.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and she runs into the house to grab her address book to use her landline to make a phone call. And the neighbor is snitching.
Oh my god, Sally, what is that hair?
It looks like she got a perm and then straightened it. Or she hairsprayed it while upside down.
That too. There are so many people in this movie that I know. Like, one of Robin Williams' kids is in Boy Meets World. He's Sean's brother. One of Lauren's kids.
Oh, okay. So the wife works at a law firm of some sort.
It looks like a design firm.
Is it? Okay, design firm.
It said designs. See, designs.
Okay. And she just got told that somebody wants her to design a B&B that is $500 a night. Which, considering it's 1993, that's a lot of fucking money.
God damn. And that guy that was talking to Sally Field is Walter Peralta.
Oh, okay.
Jake Peralta's dad.
By the way, that's $2,000 a night in today's money. Yeah. So the wife gets home to a horse walking through her yard, her living room, who then starts eating the birthday cake she brought. She finds toddlers and little children jumping on all of the furniture, and one is hanging from the chandelier.
And the donkey is eating the cake.
Yeah, there's water guns and balloon animals, and Robin Williams is dancing on a table with his son and one of his son's friends.
I love Sally.
And Robin's like, I was going to have everything cleaned up before you got home.
Donkey's eating pizza.
Yeah. And she unplugs everything. Like, I don't know if this is the way I would end the party, but I would be pretty pissed that the cops had to show up.
Yeah. And now they are fighting.
Yeah.
I bring home a cake and you bring home the zoo.
She's making a valid argument, though. She's like, I have to be the one who's responsible and does all the things, and you do all of the overtop things. It just makes me look like the boring parent. And it's just like, well, she's not wrong. Just because I think that instead of doing these things separately, like, why don't you guys plan these things together?
Like, I get that she's resentful that she has to be the adult, the responsible one, but like, he's also got a point. Like, she chose that. She chose that career path. She chose that life.
But at the same time, like, judging by what his kids said, he quits his jobs a lot. One of them has to have a stable job.
It's true.
And like, maybe that means she... Because, I mean, like, as you can attest, California is expensive. So, like, one of you has to have, like, a stable, like, long-term job. Because if he keeps quitting jobs because of moral differences, you know, like... He only has that luxury because she works so much. But at the same time, they should be working together. Not trying to outdo one another. Like, that doesn't solve anything. Don't try to outdo each other.
Don't, like, resent each other because your lives are different.
Yeah, or your approaches to things are different. But at the same time, like, I think, like, look, this kid's having a birthday party. Why didn't you work together to make one? Also, deciding you want a divorce on your son's birthday, really?
Is like...
You couldn't have waited until, like, the next day, because the kid's going to go through the rest of his life knowing that you guys got a divorce because of his birthday party. And like she tells him that she wants a divorce, and I can't imagine how much shit she's had to put up with and deal with up until that point to decide she wants one. Because like I don't know, just having a partner that unstable all the time would really drive me nuts. Like I'm all for like having like somebody who likes to have fun and like all that stuff, but you have to be stable enough that I can depend on you at the same time. Like you can't just throw such a rager that the fucking cops show up. Like, I don't want cops showing up at my house in the middle of a Wednesday afternoon.
Facts. Because I've dated all those kinds of losers, and if I had the cops show up for that, I'd be so fucking mad. You also know this guy.
I do.
Yeah.
He's in everything from the 90s.
Yeah. Independence Day.
Yeah.
David, what are you doing?
Look at that old phone. Like, when they didn't actually have the landline and you had, like, one that was cordless. But it's also the size of a fucking brick.
It's the size of your head. And, like, the antenna goes, like...
Yeah, the antenna goes, like, 8 inches past the top of your head. It's at least, like, 3 or 4 inches thick. Robin Williams is staying with a friend of his now that him and his wife are separated. And the friend's mom wants to know, like, do you want to come stay with her? And Robin's like, no. And he's like, it's temporary. It's definitely temporary. And it's just like... Sure, you are in divorce court. Oh, the custody hearing. They're like, he's clearly a very loving father, but he also has no employment, no place to live.
Mm-hmm. So she gets full custody of the kids.
I mean...
And he gets...
visitation rights.
Every Saturday.
I mean, at least partial custody.
So this is temporary. The... visitation, whatever. So he's got 90 days
to get his shit together.
Yeah.
It's like you need a job and you need a place to stay. Otherwise, because like, where are the kids supposed to visit?
It's true.
It's like, and then they'll grant, because the judge tells him, look, it's for 90 days. You've got 90 days to get your stuff together. And then we will come back and discuss joint custody. Because in all honesty, depriving your kids of a dad that cares that much would just damage everybody. And the mom did it in the worst way. Those kids are going to do nothing but see her as a villain at that point because she just went about it in all the wrong ways. First of all, the first mistake was doing it on the kid's birthday. Yeah. That is going to traumatize the shit out of them. You could have had this argument. You should not have had it in the middle of the fucking living room. See, the kid's already like, this is all my fault.
I should have never had a birthday. You were born. Like
he is never going to celebrate his birthday again. Ever. That kid will never ask for a birthday party, presents, anything ever again. But I also think the mom is a little bit shitty for pursuing full custody, knowing that he loves those kids so much. She should not have pursued full custody of those kids.
I can kind of get it because she's the provider.
Yeah.
But like if she has full custody, then like she knows that she can take care of the kids. And like I get it from the financial point, but like
But it just sucks to like deprive your kid of a parent that actually wants to be there when sometimes like families go to divorce court or custody hearings and neither parent wants the kid. It's like at least these kids have a parent that that wants them to be there. But he does have to get his shit together because at the moment there's nowhere for them to visit. Like even if he has visitation rights and all that, but he's gonna have to go see them.
Yeah, because
there's nowhere for them to go see him. It's like you need a job and you need a lot of things in all honesty. But
it's true.
I wonder if I don't think San Francisco, but I don't know off the top of my head. There are some places in the United States that require you to be separated for a year before they'll let you file for divorce. I don't think California is one of those places, but I know there are a couple places in the U.S. that you are required to be separated for a while before they'll let you divorce. Which, in all honesty, in some ways, I think makes sense. In others, not so much.
Oh, we know her too!
We do.
It's Greta from Liar. Tiffany's. You said it was Tiffany's. $15.
She's like, I'm going to the office, the liaison that court has assigned him. It's like, I will be there every Monday and Friday to inspect everything. And she's like, what skills do you have? He's like, I do voices. You could have
just said that you're a voice actor.
No, instead he intimidates aliens and monsters.
And Groucho Marx.
I wonder if they just let him go. There's like a solid minute or two of him just doing lines in different accents.
It's like spliced video images. I love it.
They must have just let him just go. They're like, just do some voices. Just do what you want. And she's like, do you think you're funny? And he's like, I used to
think so.
I don't now.
You proved me wrong. Thank you.
I do feel bad for him just because of how much he actually loves his kids. But he does need to get his shit together.
He does.
And like, in all honesty, I can't say one or the other is at fault. They're both at fault for the state of their divorce. You can't, like, the failing of a marriage is never just one person.
The actor. I think it's in The Birdcage where, like, him and Nathan Lane just fucking barely looked at the script.
Yes, I believe that for The Birdcage. That movie was a trip from start to finish.
It's like, the script is more like
guidelines. Like the pirate code.
What do you do after you box him?
So he's gotten a job at a studio boxing and shipping film by the looks of it. I also have a problem with the fact that before she decided she wanted a divorce, and they were told, her boss told her that, like, hey, you know, this really rich dude wants you to design his B&B. She got really flattered. And now he shows up and he's really fucking hot. Just like, I do have a bit of a problem with that on her end, because maybe she was looking for a divorce for alternative reasons.
That's a lot of pattern going on for a $500 a night Airbnb.
Well, it's the 90s. Patterns were all the rage. Patterns, wallpapers.
Like, that's fine. Wallpapers and pattern, but, like, there's a lot of different colorful patterns being presented.
Well, let's be honest. You've seen modern fashion runways. You tell me that's not a bunch of wild-ass bullshit. The more expensive it is, the more stupid it looks. There's that account on Instagram that's just like stupid rich people fashion.
It's true.
Like, one of them was like a several $1,000 replica of an IKEA bag.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's either gonna look extremely, like, minimalist industrial, like the building wasn't even finished and it's very of the times, or it's gonna look gaudy as fuck.
Yeah. She tells this client too that she's in the middle of a divorce. Oh, and they know each other from the past.
Great.
There's something weird about the way he looks if you look at him straight on the side. Great profile. Straight on, I think it's the eyebrows. Yeah, I know, but I think it's the eyebrows that are flat instead of arched in any way. They're just flat.
They give him like
Well, they give him caveman brow, but like most people's like curve in some way, even naturally. But his don't. His only curve at the very corners, and they're like flat. It gives him super caveman brow right there. It makes it look way bigger than it is.
Fair.
So Robin Williams lives in something that is covered in food. But hey, okay, this is how you know this is not the current era. He went to work for a studio. He's a packer and like shipper of just boxes and film and stuff like that. And he's able to rent a place on his own.
In what
San
world?
Francisco.
In what fucking world?
Like, and it's not a bad looking place too. Like, it's a nice looking place, at least on the outside. I don't know about the inside, but like, and no, I couldn't rent a place now on my own in San Francisco if I was renting a cardboard box. Isn't San Francisco now supposed to be more expensive than LA?
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's...
Which is wild.
I think it's either on par or it's slightly past New York City.
Yeah. I remember hearing it was like in the top 3 of the United States. Oh, great. Now the son is spreading weird rumors to the little girl, and like now she thinks that Robin Williams wants her mom to die.
We don't want that, honey.
Okay, it's really unfair of the older daughter to say, you're not trying very hard, Dad. It's just like...
How do you know? Do you have a job?
Honestly, like, girl, you're like 12. Relax. And now, like, the little girl is trying to help him figure out how to get their mom back. Oh, and he lives above a restaurant. And the mom's an hour early. And now he's very upset that she's here an hour early.
I don't blame her.
I don't
him. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't blame him either.
It's like, this is my only day with you guys. Like, let me enjoy it. Fuck you. Oh, Daniel, how charming.
She's super condescending. And she's late dropping them off and she's early picking them up. She's telling you, just like, I need a housekeeper. $300 a week.
A week.
That's week.
Like a day now.
But, like, by today's money, that's what, $1,200 by today's money? That's a lot of fucking money a week. How much money does she make? We made a mistake not being born in, like, the late 70s or something like that, so we could be in our 20s and 30s in the 90s.
And Matilda's like, we're his goddamn kids, too.
But he's not wrong. She took 2 hours of time away from him by being an hour late and being there an hour
early.
If I was him, I'd take her back to court for it. It's like, look, she's gypping me on my time, man. I mean, that she's just taking his 2 hours of his only time with them. And
he just goes and changes the numbers on the little thing that she's got to call to put on an ad for getting a nanny. To call him.
He really does need to unpack, though, and maybe throw out some trash. Robin Williams is pretending to be nannies calling, and it's just making up all kinds of wild stories. It's just like, do your kids well behaved, or they need to be slapped around every once in a while?
I love it. I don't work with the males because I used to be one. Sabotage!
Yep. He's just making all kinds of weird phone calls. And see, this is back before caller ID was a thing, so he could just continuously call from his own home. You could not do that now.
And now he's got that old lady lovely voice. It's like, oh my god, someone decent.
And now he's calling with, like, somebody very well fit for the job instead. And he's just basically being absolutely, like, perfect. And it's just like, hey, I do some cooking and some cleaning, and it's lovely and very, like, prim and proper. He hadn't thought of a name. And he's just like,
Doubtfire.
This is Doubtfire. He takes it from an article he read about an arson.
Police Doubtfire involved.
Just like, I'd have to write it down. I would immediately forget. Like, no, Doubtfire, yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
I came up with.
Could you make me a woman?
He goes to his friend, his gay friend. He's like, can you make me a woman?
Who was a prop artist.
The guy's just like, yes.
Instant ow.
Ah. They're using tape to give him a facelift. Despite the fact that he's supposed to be playing somebody like 20 years his senior. Oh, this is the pre-final costume.
He's got the bob black hair, the red lips, the long red nails.
She's supposed to be an old English woman, and they've got her looking like she's about to go on a runway full of cigarettes.
And now she's playing old babushka. And now they're all singing.
Yeah. Now they're going through all different phases. Oh, that is a terrible wig on him. Gender is not his look.
Older. Gotta go older.
I know they're naming real people when they talk about that, but I do not know who those people they're naming are. It is too
there's a mold of his face.
Oh, I can't imagine getting your face plastered. Like your whole face. I actually watched that show Face Off where they do this.
Yeah.
Like they make full prosthetics and stuff like that for like competitions.
With the fake teeth. Yeah.
I wonder how long he had to spend getting all of that put on him every day.
I'm just cringing at the pantyhose over the hairy legs because like that the tism.
Yeah, nothing.
The tism.
Yeah. The feeling of that alone as the person who would be wearing it would be like,
I don't like that feeling.
No. And they're like, you look like our mother. Because one of the people doing the prosthetics is Robin Williams in the show's brother. You're like, wow, you look like our mother.
That's disgusting.
So now it switches over to the kids are watching a movie, and I guess they're going to meet Mrs. Doubtfire.
And there she is.
And there she is, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Euphegenia. That's her name.
That's a whole mouthful of a word. Euphemia.
You must be the cherubs.
The children are Natalie. And man, that little girl is no manners.
You remind me of Stuart Little.
Stuart Little. So the son is Chris. Wow, these kids have no fucking manners.
She's like, I was a fullback, but that's European football. Soccer
One of them
doesn't
tells her
have...
that she's... One of them tells her she stinks. The other one tells her that she's huge. And then Lydia is the older daughter. And she
Lydia's
looks like she's a
nah.
mood and a half. Wow. Not...
Even the kid's like, why can't Dad do this?
It's like, why can't we just spend the extra time with Dad? And he's like, are you really sure you want to verbally bash their father in front of them?
Don't you, like, I'm sure he's loving this, where he's like, I get to tell you to not fucking call me names in front of the kids!
Uh-huh. And she would definitely be in the wrong for bashing their dad in front of this lady who's supposed to be a stranger.
I don't think he's in the Navy the way she talks about him.
She's not talking about him like he's coming right back.
It reeks of taste.
It reeks of taste. That's a weird comment. Oh, and the hand-printed resume. And Mrs. Doubtfire is making tea while his wife reviews the very embellished resume.
She's an expert in CPR and Heimlich.
From Oxford. Which I don't know if they do.
He's like, you're anal. Because every got like a name tag in a place, and he's like, okay.
And he is making subtle jabs, so just like, you know.
He's like, marriage can be such a blessing. And she's like,
she's just like, and he's making the mistake because he knows where everything is, and he hasn't opened a wrong cupboard yet. And she's like, you really know your way around a kitchen. Just like, yeah, it's because you're good design choices.
Also, it's like, it's a kitchen.
Yeah.
Like,
there's only so many places things could be.
How can you fuck up a kitchen?
That's true. And the wife's looking at him like, you remind me of somebody. But who would think that it would be your ex-husband dressed as a woman?
I mean, in this day and age, you'd be suspicious.
They are clinking teacups, but no tea has been poured.
Missy and I were discussing this issue the other day.
How disgusted we were
about this. When you watch a TV show or a movie or whatever, and you notice that when they're drinking, whether it's in like a plastic like Starbucks cup or whatever, or like a teacup, and like you know there's nothing in there. Especially
NCIS
on NCIS.
NCIS is really bad about it. You could just hear the hollowness of the cup.
Oh, it drives me insane. I'm like, I know there's nothing in there.
So Robin Williams gets on the bus dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire, and the old bus driver is like, whoa!
The old bus driver is hitting on her.
And Robin's like, oh no. Robin Williams is like, whoever invented heels, I'm gonna kill him.
Me too, man. Me too.
Hey, they were invented for men, so.
Have we met? The woman that's supposed to be her case, like their divorce case.
Yeah.
Is like, just showed up at his apartment, and Mrs. Doubtfire was, Mrs. She's like, do I know you?
He's like, oh, I'm his older sister.
He's like, let me go up with you. No. Oh, look. Come to inspect the apartment that's just got boxes and clothes everywhere.
How is he going to pull why are you in the room with him if you're saying that he's changing?
He's probably in the bathroom. Is there a bathroom in there? No, I don't know.
I hope so.
Look at that granny suit, man.
I know.
Oh, her stockings are stuck to the Mrs. Sumner.
She stepped on a rat trap.
I'm holding down 2 jobs right now. One is very heavy responsibility. The other one is cleaning houses.
And she looks around at his dirty house like, wow. And now he's making up all kinds of stories about his dad and his mom and World War II.
Making up a whole backstory for Mrs. Euphemia Doubtfire. And now she's like, I would like some English tea.
And now he's going to do this all over again and put it all back on.
And these kids across the way are just watching it.
Just like put a whole granny suit on.
They're traumatized. No, there goes the face.
Oh no, not the face.
Norman Bates.
Wouldn't she think it's weird that they're both in the same room changing?
I love how the kitchen has a door.
Yeah, that's an old school thing too. Now he's trying to make, but he doesn't have the face prosthetic. He's got the wig.
And the face prosthetic is going to get run over now.
And there goes the face prosthetic. He's like, I don't need a hand, I need a face. As he throws everything around.
Facing. Hello! Nightly meringue mask.
He just took a bunch of icing and smeared it all over his face, and it is pouring off of his face and into the tea. Oh, that's disgusting. But it did prove what he was trying to tell her, this lady, is that his sister, Mrs. Doubtfire, is a terrible house guest.
Yes.
And the woman, the court person, puts some of the meringue on her own face, wondering if it'll work.
He goes to his friend's house for a new face. He's like, help.
His brother already has a second one ready. It's just like, no, we're like, good.
Be careful with this one. She's old.
Yeah. Oh, look at that, punching in and out with an actual card.
Have you ever worked at one of those places? I had to play the punching card, yeah.
Yeah, once when I was 16. My very first job at that inflatable party zone, we had one where you stuck it in there. It was
that job I had in 2019 at the drug testing place?
Yeah.
They had that.
Isn't it stupid? Like, who's still
And I'm
using
like,
that?
it's 2019! He just walks out the men's bathroom.
And runs into a guy who starts questioning everything about the universe. Like,
and now he's trying to discipline his own damn kids as a nanny. And he threw the remote into the fish tank.
Yep, it's like, not anymore. Now, time for homework, you little annoying brats.
Now, I wonder why he couldn't do this when he was not Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, if you were just actively participating in trying to help regulate your kids, you wouldn't have to dress up like a woman in order to do this.
Oh, he's putting the kids to work. Like, you're going to clean the house. You're going to clean the walls.
It's like, here's a sponge and a bucket. Go wipe the crown molding. Look at that old vacuum. My God. While he just sits on the couch and reads the paper.
It builds character. I love how it's like, you don't want to do homework? Manual labor.
You don't want to do the manual labor? Then I guess it's time for homework. I like those windows.
Yeah. I get why he didn't do it, though, as the dad, because, like, no one would have listened to him.
Yeah.
That recipe book. Everything
is boiling terribly.
And scraping. Oh, you can't cook.
And burnt. Everything's bubbling over. Has he never cooked a day in his life?
How is it? It tastes like shit.
Oh, and he's catching his boobs on fire. His boobs are on fire.
So he's slapping himself with a spatula!
With a spatula! How the fuck are you going to say that?
My first day as a woman and I'm getting hot flashes.
So he orders takeout to be delivered, or catering, I guess, to be delivered.
Italian.
$135 for one night worth of food? That's a lot even now.
And $20 extra for rushing. Do you have change? No.
How are you going to get the smoke smell out of the house? And he's arranging all of the food very elegantly on the plates and everything out of containers, and good gosh. Oh, ew. There's some orange gloop. And the mom comes home and she's like, where is everybody? The kids come down and like, we were doing our homework.
The shock of the mother.
Yeah.
And there's your catered dinner for $140.
Just like, here is all of your food in a nice, neat little order. And it's a very pretty dinner. I hope he got to eat some of that dinner. I didn't just give them dinner and leave.
I mean, it said dinner for 4.
Yeah. Oh, and the older girl comes back out to
To apologize.
apologize for her behavior earlier.
She's like, I'm just really messed up right now. And Doubtfire's like, I get it.
Me
We all are.
too.
Said, huh?
It's just like it's understandable.
It's like, we all suffer. We get it.
And the little girl says, "Thank you for making our mom happy."
It's like,
It's like she hasn't
you
been this happy in
without being a woman.
Yeah. And the daughter says, like, it's been a really long time since her mom's been this happy, since I can't even remember when. And he's just kind of like, really? Like, it's news to him that she was unhappy before. And it's just like, your wife wasn't entirely wrong for this. So, oh, and there's the bus driver's going to hit on her again.
Please don't. No.
Pleasure to see you again, milady. Look at that. Women can get harassed at any age by men of any age.
And then you look, and he turns around and you see her leg.
Really, really hairy leg.
The Mediterranean look. Yeah. The natural look.
Just like he's not even driving the bus, they're just stopped. And it's just like, can we just go? We don't need to sit here while you harass the shit out of me. Thank you.
And there she
took them to the beach and played the soccer. Now they're going on a bike ride. Dude looks like a lady. Now she's dancing with the vacuum cleaner. If she would have done half of this shit when she was the husband, like, she would not be in the process of a divorce. I'm not even sure if I should say she. It's a guy pretending to be a woman. But
and now he's watching videos on how to cook.
Yeah, he's learning how to cook. Okay, I will admit, I forgot that Stuart Little was a book.
Same.
I didn't know that. I didn't remember that.
Like, I've seen the movie. I don't remember much. We're playing air guitar.
He's air guitaring it with the broom. Oh, and he gets to watch his ex-wife go on dates. That's
and
fun.
Then Mrs. Doubtfire is going to have a nice little talk with her about that.
Like, Mrs. Doubtfire flips the guy off. It's like, your divorce isn't even finalized and you're already going on dates? Really? Like, really? Is that the reason you wanted a divorce? Just for this hot, rich dude? Somebody tries to steal Mrs. Doubtfire's purse. And he's like, fuck that.
Broke my bag, the bastard.
I wonder if he continued every once in a while to dress as a woman as he went around town.
What a beautiful little car for Don Juan.
Yeah,
It'd be a shame if we steal that Mercedes thing at the very top. You know how many of those I've broken over the years?
You've broken a lot of them over the years? The Mercedes symbol on top of cars?
The old Mercedes cars where the big things on the top of it. Because I like to fiddle with things. And I'm like, oh, it moves. And oh, it broke.
Yeah.
Oops.
It's like, oh, he's already at the meeting the children phase.
And your divorce is not even happening. Like, it's in the process.
And it's just like, and the guy's like, oh, well, Miranda mentions you all the time and she raves about you. Mrs. Doubtfire's like, she's never mentioned you. And he's like, your accent's a little muddled. And she's like, so's your tan.
The man who has to buy a big cut has to try and compensate for small genitals, eh?
And Miranda's just like, everything good? Everything okay? And Miranda is admitting to her ex-husband that she fancies somebody else and he wants to take her on a date.
He just wants to go out and have a drink.
And she's like, isn't that a little harmless? And then Mrs. Doubtfire's like, absolutely not. It's just like, Mrs. Doubtfire's like, you need to wake up and smell the coffee. Can't you see the lust in his eyes?
Let your sheets cool down before you bring someone else into the bedroom.
And she's like, Mrs. Doubtfire, can I ask you a question?
Winston. Mr. Doubtfire.
It's like, how long after that did you, feel like it was okay to date?
And it's like,
she's like, never.
The only solution is total lifelong celibacy. Good luck, bye.
And Mrs. Doubtfire's like, heaven will never forgive you otherwise. And Miranda just looks horrified. Just like, what a thing to ask. Oh, they're doing spelling homework. Oh, God.
Ponderance.
Oh, God. I'm so glad the days of spelling tests are over.
Now imagine if you had to do it in a different language.
No, thank you. No, thank
Spelling tests during Armenian class were difficult.
you. I'm sure. Mrs. Doubtfire gets walked in on peeing while standing up.
He's a she, she's a he. And now the kids know it's their dad.
Yep. And her first question is like, do you like dressing up as a woman?
Is it
And he's like, don't worry, I don't go to old lady bars after work. The kids are just staring like, what is happening right now?
They're just, like, they can't, it's such a time where they can't comprehend that drag is a thing. So it's like, Dad, is that really you in there? It's like, yeah, it's him. It's him.
It's like, and don't worry, I didn't have any operations to give myself boobs. It's just a bodysuit.
And the kid's like, I don't want to hug you yet.
It's a little weird, Dad. It's just like, it's a little weird. It's like, and you can't tell Mom. It's like, you can't tell your sister because she'll blow it, and you definitely can't tell your mom.
I'm waiting for that little sister to just pop out and be like, I know too.
Yeah. It's like, but I knew first.
Sir, you are not doing a great job at this informative TV show. Even the people behind this.
The camera guy. So we're back to Robin Williams' other job where he's actually Robin Williams. And they're filming a show, and Robin Williams is just in the background delivering stuff. And everybody's falling asleep while this guy is supposed to be recording a kids' TV show.
Which one's the dinosaur? The one in the middle.
And Robin Williams is making what's probably the producer or the director laugh, while the guy who's actually on the show is just making everybody fall asleep.
He makes Mr. Rogers look like Mick Jagger.
and Robin Williams is like, what kind of guy hires this guy? And he's like,
for 25 years. He's giving the director, owner, whatever, like, critique. He's like, because the guy wants to scratch it because this old man is just running the show through the drain.
Yeah. I don't know. Personally, I just think he should just be Mrs. Doubtfire all the time. Like, he has a far more interesting life as Mrs. Doubtfire.
I like the kitchen appliances.
Yeah, I do too. They're still pretty good. The colors I don't really care for. Everything's like a pinkish tan.
I like the stove, though. Nice. Like the range.
Yeah.
Because it's got the 4 burners on the left, and it's got the grill top on the right. I like that. Whereas my stove has the grill top in the middle, and I don't like that.
So she does the grocery shopping too, which is kind of nice. He needs to be careful. He keeps repeating things that he said as her husband, and like he knows a little too much.
What happened to Mr. Doubtfire? He drank himself to death. No, drink didn't kill him. He was hit by a Guinness truck.
Yeah, it's like he was literally hit by a truck.
Literally, the drink killed him. Yeah, so who needs a husband when you got a nanny that literally does everything for you?
Yeah. And now he's like, well, tell me what was so bad about your husband. And the wife is like, well, at first he was great. He was romantic and passionate.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate him?
How was he on a scale of 1 to 10? And the wife is like, well, he was spontaneous and he was full of energy. And
everyone she knew was organized and scheduled, and Daniel was not.
He was just different.
And funny.
I actually agree with that statement. A key to a solid marriage is laughter. I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
See, she does say, she's like, I was working all the time, and I could never see the kids, and he was always between jobs. And then she'd come home from working all day, and the house would be just a mess. And she tells Mrs. Doubtfire, she's like, I just cried myself to sleep a lot. And that she didn't like who she was when she was with him.
And Mrs. Doubtfire's like, did you ever tell him any of how you felt? No? Maybe that's why.
And then the wife's like, well, he never liked to talk about anything serious. She's got a really good point. And, like, you could tell that he's so shocked about how much he missed. It's like, yeah. This is part of your fault, too. Like, a marriage doesn't fail because of one of you.
It's a therapy session for both of them. He's learning things that he didn't realize, and she's...
Things they should have actually just talked about a long time ago.
Oh, look, a community pool.
And Mrs. Doubtfire, oh, it's so posh. It's like you need a credit reference just to go to the pool. And it's like, oh, it's not a single body that exists in nature. Oh my God. He is very shirtless. If this would have been today, they would have had him shave his chest instead of letting the chest hair be there.
I mean, yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, when was the last time you saw a movie with a guy without a shirt on where he had hair on his chest? I can't remember the last time I saw one.
Yeah. I can't remember.
They didn't teach any of these children tact.
No. I think they've outlawed whaling. Don't touch me.
It's like, I'm going to drown you again,
I'll drown you.
And he's just like, just put anything on my tab. And like, in all honesty, I'd be upset. What's your most expensive things? Because I want those.
This is beyond obsession. There she is, having a beer. I would have asked for a fucking pitcher or two.
I would have ordered drinks for everybody. Just started ordering rounds for the club. Like, let's go.
It's on his tab.
Yeah, it's just like, it's on him. He should not get drunk. Not at this point. To be fair, his wife does look a lot happier.
Sir, you are in a woman's outfit. Do not hit on the younger ladies.
An older woman.
Oh. Pushing 40.
See, he's even nice and he likes the kids. Throw a lime.
Terrorist.
And this guy has no clue why the nanny just fucking hates him. He just goes around scaring other people at the pool.
Just mad dogging everybody.
I'm just like, So, Ani, do you want to get old lady costumes and go around and just be old ladies in our spare time?
Alright, we don't need costumes. We just gotta go to Target. Old lady core is back. It's in fashion.
You're not wrong. I've seen some.
Grab a fucking dress, get some old ass like saggy stockings, those old like
some wigs,
the old kicks, yeah, and get a wig, draw on some lines for wrinkles. You're good.
Yeah. So now Robin Williams is at an empty set, just having fun with the dinosaur toys from the show that he was at earlier, and not knowing that the producer is watching him.
Bro!
I would have watched that show as a kid. He's just turning this whole educational show into a musical number.
And the
director rapping might not be.
You don't. I live beneath the soil and I'm coming back as oil. That's fucked.
But accurate, and that's the worst part. And the producer says 7:00 sharp on Friday to hear some of my ideas. To hear some of his ideas, and he's just like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to figure out how to take a day off from Mrs. Doubtfire." And look, his house is all in a row.
Did you know
he made all the?
Sorry, continue.
It's like he made all the food from scratch. It all looks good, and now somebody's knocking at his door.
Yeah, thanks for knocking. Just barging in.
Yeah. And the wife is just like, "You got somebody to clean for you," and he's like, "No, I did it." He told her he's taking an Amish home study course because he's trying to convince her to get rid of Mrs. Doubtfire. And she's just like, "It's the best thing that's ever happened to us now." So now he's competing with himself.
I know, right?
For more time with his kids.
Oh.
So the wife is going out to dinner for her birthday with telling her that the dresses she's trying to figure out, they just cry, harlot, dear.
Why buy the cow when you get the milk for free?
What things to say in front of two small girls.
And one of them knows that you're the dad. I wore that to my aunt's funeral in 76.
76. Oh, and
it's gonna be on a Friday.
Everybody.
Yeah, it's gonna be on Friday night when he's got that meeting with the.
And it's the same restaurant he has an appointment at.
I mean,
I would just
be like, sorry, I'm busy that night and I can't make it, and then It's my turn to pull the balls at the rectory.
Just like, I can't. He's trying to tell her that she has bingo.
I feel like it's pushing the boundary here. Like, you hired this woman to take care of your house and kids, and now you're like, I can't go on this date without you. It's like, lady, I didn't sign up for that.
She gave you an excuse, and you should have taken it at face value and then just left it alone.
Like, she has a life.
And he went to see if Mr. Lundy was ready a different day, and the answer was no.
Don't cancel.
It's like, so now you have both. And it's like, what are you going to do? Because now you have dinner at both places. I don't even know how I would fathom trying to pull this off.
I couldn't. Back when you got the option of smoking or non-smoking sections in restaurants.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And like, you can still see when you go into some restaurants that have been around for a while, like how they're separated, like with two different sections, because that's the way it used to be. And for anybody who's not old enough to remember that, but like pretty much every restaurant had a smoking and non-smoking section, which means you could smoke while sitting down to dinner at that side of the table, which when you think about it in hindsight, it's just absolutely insane. Because why would you need to do that right there in the middle of your meal?
Like, smoking hookah with dinner is a thing for like Middle Easterners. So, like, I get that. But like, if you're gonna
have an Applebee's.
No, but like smoking and non-smoking section, like if you're gonna sit in the smoking section, the entirety of the restaurant is one giant building. You can't like you have the right side is the smoking, they're gonna smell it in the non-smoking section, like.
Yeah. And you definitely did. And like you would be in there and like you could easily smell the smoke from the smoking section. Or if for some reason they didn't have seating in the non-smoking section, then they would seat you in the smoking section and it would reek to high heaven. It would just smell so terribly of all like just days and days and days and days and days and days and days of tobacco, and it would just be terrible. So, like, there was never... I hated going in there when, like, it was a lot of people smoking. Or if you had to walk through the smoking section to get to, like, the restroom or the non-smoking section or whatever. And, like, it was terrible because there's no extra ventilation.
For all of you people listening that don't know what that feeling is like, go to Vegas or go to Atlantic City. Walk around those casinos because it's going to be smoking to high heaven.
Yep. That feeling of when you walk around in those casinos and everything like that, that is exactly the same feeling of when you would go into like the smoking section. And it was every restaurant. It was every sit down restaurant. It was like I said, like Applebee's and Chili's and just like every basic restaurant. It was always smoking and non-smoking. And of course the smoking section was emptier than the non-smoking section. So if there was overflow, they'd offer to seat you in the smoking section. I can't even imagine how bad that is for like waiters who like had to work the smoking section all the time. Like, good Lord. Like it took them way longer than it should have to like outlaw smoking like inside buildings like that. I don't even remember when it became illegal. Do you? When did smoking in restaurants stop?
Just
2003.
That sounds
so it would have been like 10 years after this movie took place.
That's about right.
At least in Florida.
So, in 1987, Beverly Hills passed an ordinance that limited smoking in most restaurants, retail stores, and public meetings. And in 1990, San Luis Obispo became the first city in the world to ban indoor smoking in restaurants and bars.
All right.
And in 1998, California became the first state in the country to prohibit indoor smoking in night spots, bars, restaurants, combinations, bingo parlors, card rooms, and casinos. So.
And there are some states like Texas, which just doesn't really seem to have much of a law against any of it. But yeah, it was very nice once that kind of thing stopped. But I mean, I wasn't really old enough to notice it like a lot. Like it didn't impact me at all. But I don't really remember the change in restaurants very much, but I imagine they had to do a lot to change it or to like a lot of pushback from people about not being able to do it. So Robin Williams' character at this point is at the restaurant and he's trying to have dinner twice at the same time. And he's in the women's bathroom changing and he's just leaving all of his stuff on the counter. And he stuffs it in the bathroom. You just gonna leave all of your stuff in the bathroom? That's crazy. There's so many like aesthetic things here too that like really tell you it's in the 90s. mostly it's the gold. Like, I don't know if you remember, but everything in the 90s was gold plated with cheap ass looking gold. It was tacky. And it was tacky then, but to look at it now, it's really extra tacky now. And it would just look terrible. And it was all very, it just looks like plastic almost. Or at least it looks super fake.
And Mrs. Doubtfire falls.
Mrs. Doubtfire falls, and he just keeps going back and forth and back and forth. Like, he really should have just put his foot down with the wife about going to this dinner. So, I do feel a little bad for the date, the guy. Like, he does genuinely like Miranda.
Mrs. Doubtfire's teeth fell into her wine.
To be fair, dentures can do that. Like, talk about an uncomfortable dinner. All right, Ani, what is your favorite Robin Williams movie?
My favorite
Robin Williams movie.
It's gotta be the
I'm honestly going to pull up a list because, I don't remember all of the ones that I've seen of him. I can't believe it's been so many years.
Tell them to puree the salmon!
I can't believe it's been so many years since he died. 2014? Was it really that long ago?
God. I'm gonna say number 1 is Birdcage.
Birdcage is really good. You know, actually, the first time I watched that was not that long ago, but I watched it for an anthropology class.
So, number 1 for me is Birdcage. Number 2, I'd say Jumanji.
Oh, Jumanji. That was so good. We should watch that on the podcast at some point.
Also, Flubber.
Flubber was really good. I think that was besides Aladdin, I think Flubber was probably the first movie I recall seeing with Robin Williams in it. I was aware of him before that, but...
You want one that's going to make you cry?
Ferngully. That's fair. That'll do it. Did you know in 2001 he was in a movie called Artificial Intelligence?
Oh, wait, the AI one?
Yeah.
Bionic Man? Bicentennial Man? No, AI. Literally AI.
No, it's called AI, Artificial Intelligence.
I remember seeing Bicentennial Man in theaters, and I was not happy. I was very sad.
Oh, you know what's another good one that he was in? Night at the Museum. He makes a great Theodore Roosevelt, which is a weird thing to say about anybody.
He just goes in the kitchen and fucking puts pepper in the jambalaya that said no peppers, I'm allergic.
And he sits down at the table.
Why in God's name are you dressed like a woman?
It's like, why are you dressed like a woman? He's like, I'd like you to meet the host of your new show.
Euphigenia. Sorry.
And now he's selling Mrs. Doubtfire to the producer. And at the other table, the guy is joking because of the peppers.
He's going into anaphylactic shock. He's joking. And this is where the scene is. Help is on the way, dear!
He's like, oh no, I didn't want to kill him.
Good old granny, vaulting over tables.
Just throwing it in the air, practically. Just over and over the maneuver until they fall over. Also, why did you not chew that large of a piece of shrimp?
Facts. Why swallow a big old piece of... Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. The face came off.
Oh, God. And I was like, oh, no. And this is where it all goes to shit. And the wife is reasonably freaking the fuck out.
Just everyone's like...
It's like, what is happening right now? What kind of closing remarks could you have? So he masqueraded as my nanny for a couple of months and then tried to poison my date. And he's like, I did the things you asked.
And he's telling the judge, he's like, as soon as my kids were born, I've been obsessed with them. They've been my everything.
And it's just now, look, I love my kids, and I wanted to spend time with my kids. And he wouldn't let me spend time with my kids.
It's like I've been in their life from the beginning every day, and now you're telling me I can't see them. And now Miranda's like, well, shit.
Yeah. And the wife is looking at him, just like, actually feeling sorry for him.
And the judge is like, you've fooled a lot of people being an old lady. Mm-hmm. And while your speech seems very genuine, I feel like it's a performance.
Yeah. And now he's only going to have supervised visitation rights on Saturday.
Psychological testing, huh?
And they'll re-examine the case in a year. And now the wife feels bad.
Fucking better. And now she's interviewing for other nannies.
It's just like, who don't do anything. They don't do washing, cooking, cleaning.
Basement.
They don't read. They don't do dinners.
Never. Getting back to you, never.
It's just like, no, thank you.
Oh, we're going to have frozen fries. You're telling your kids not to be depressed.
What are you doing with frozen fries, mayonnaise, and whole corn on the cob? Barbecue is my only thought. And they're all talking about how they miss Mrs. Doubtfire. It's just like, but it was your husband.
That was your husband. Well, Mrs. Doubtfire's back.
Just like, hello.
Oh, he's on the TV!
Because he's on TV. And now they see the TV show that he did, in fact, get.
Mrs. Doubtfire, like, he sold the Mrs. Doubtfire thing.
Uh-huh. And they're all laughing at his new show.
They have a royal family! Just like a poker game.
And back when you could just drive to the studio lots and then just get on the studio lot.
Try doing that now.
Yeah, we'll see how far you get.
You get to the gate and be like, you have an appointment with anybody? No, I just want to walk onto the set and see what's going on. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
It's just like, possibly in a straitjacket.
Oh, they're getting calls from everywhere. Very good.
And number one in his time slot. His wife shows up to the set to watch him. I'm glad he's doing something with the Mrs. Doubtfire, though. Like, it's too good just to let it go away and fade away or get boxed away.
God, I hate those shoes.
Which set?
Miranda's shoes.
Yeah. And she's there telling him it's like they've been watching the show, his show, every day. And he's like, well, it's nice they get to at least see me. It's also hard. She's like, it's so hard to deal with the fact that, you know, like, get over the fights and, like, all that other stuff and all the things that we said to each other. And, you know, also you masquerading as a 6-year-old woman for about a couple months. And she's like, I don't want to hurt our kids.
She's like, I don't want to hurt our kids. And he's like, what do you want me to do? Like, I can't just put on a happy face and smile. It's like, all I can do is see them once a week with supervision.
Yeah.
Like, if I try to hug my kids, the supervisor's going to be like, why is he touching them?
And they're back to bickering. She's like, I've been trying to make sense out of why my ex-husband would dress as a 60-year-old woman.
She's like, all I can, all I've come to realize is that the kids were happy when Mrs. Doubtfire was around. This fictional thing you created.
She's like, I miss Mrs. Doubtfire. Maybe not so much you, but Mrs. Doubtfire.
So you're saying you want him to come back as Mrs. Doubtfire, but not as their dad. That's a little fucked.
Yeah. She's like, I miss your Mrs. Doubtfire personality.
Oh, the old dinosaur show guy is now the mailman on the Doubtfire show. Mrs. Doubtflyer.
Like, let's go meet the new babysitter. God, she's putting them in front of the stairs to, like, kind of present them. And on the other side,
no, Dad shows up. Actually, Dad.
And they're like, what's going on?
The oldest kid's like, what about the courts?
They're like, no more supervised visit, no court liaisons, just you guys and Dad.
Aw, little Natty? Natty.
Yeah, Natty. So I like the fact that the resolution's not really them getting back together, but just making it so that the kids are happier. At least the resolution at this point isn't them getting back together.
Oh, he's reading his
fan letters, and the kids are asking for advice, and one of them is asking what to do about divorced parents. God, look at that shirt she's wearing. It looks like a doily. It does.
This little kid that wrote in the fan letter is like, my parents separated, and I don't know what to do about it. And Mrs. Doubtfire is like, well, sometimes when parents live separate, they don't fight all the time. It works better. But just because they don't love each other anymore doesn't mean they don't love you any less.
That's true. I like that it's like some people, like families are just like one parent. Some live with uncles and aunts. Some live with grandparents or foster parents, or some of them have to live overseas and stuff like that. It's very inclusive for something made in 1993. That old car.
God, can you imagine the gas mileage with those hills?
No, I assume he has to get gas when he gets down to the second hill. But I like the fact that the resolution isn't necessarily, like, it kind of hints at it, but like it's not necessarily that the two of them are going to get back together, because she was clearly unhappy and she had a lot of very valid reasons of why she was unhappy, and that she was a lot happier when she was dating somebody else. And so the resolution at the end of the day isn't for them to figure out their shit and get back together. It's to what they can do that's best for the kids and to make their lives happier, and how to include him in their lives without losing him and making, and the kids being happier with it. Because, like, clearly the Mrs. Doubtfire thing's not going to work. But clearly marriage isn't necessarily going to work either. So let the mom be happy in what she wants to do by herself. Like, she wants to date and she doesn't want to be married to him anymore. But also let him be with the kids that he very clearly is willing to go to extremes to continue to get to be around. So, I mean, if it had been a movie that was made today, it would have just been wrapped up in a, like, oh, they get back together, they don't get divorced kind of situation, where this movie is far more realistic.
Very realistic, yeah.
And I like that. So I like the fact that it's more realistic and everything like that. So, but it's a good movie, and it has a good educational kind of an ending, really.
It does.
Like, especially for, like, a time when, like, divorces were really just starting to kind of, like, pick up.
Yeah.
And they weren't as, or at the very least, they weren't as talked about up until that point in the very early 90s. It wasn't something a lot of people
it was still kind of taboo.
Yeah, like people did it, and, like, that's fine, but it wasn't wildly accepted. It wasn't wildly talked about either. So, but it was a good movie to make at the time.
I can tell you that it was very taboo in the Armenian community.
Yeah.
It's kind of lessened in the taboo area in the 2020s. But it's still, like, now it's like, okay, you're married and you're going to get divorced, but are there kids? If there are no kids, okay, fine. But if there are kids, it's like, think about it before you get divorced. Because, like, think about the kids going to fuck over.
Yeah, it's definitely, some people get divorced and they just don't care what it puts the kids through at all. And then some people stay together for the kids, which is arguably equally as bad, just in a different way. Like, it's not going to be pleasant no matter which way you do it, whether you stay together and hate each other, but you stay together for the kids. Because the kids pick up on that kind of animosity.
Yeah, they're going to see you fighting all the time or not, associating with each other. It's like, how is that going to make them feel? Yeah.
But at the same time, like, if you guys separate, they're going to have to reconcile with that too. And the living in two different places and, like, the visitations and how that works and stuff like that. I mean, of course, there's different situations where maybe you just won't see the other person at all. Because maybe one of the parents is a complete douchebag for whatever reason. But if that's the case, then usually then it's just better for everyone. But it isn't easy. And it is complicated. But it's complicated no matter what you do, no matter what solution you get. It's not going to be any fun. But, like, at the end of the day, you kind of have to think about what's healthiest for your kids. Is it healthier for them to listen to you guys hate each other and argue? Or is it healthier for them to try and figure out how to live in two different families? And it's the answer.
There isn't fighting. And either way, it's not easy.
Yeah, either way, it's a huge pain and it's hard and that won't change. But, and unfortunately, there isn't really a magical third solution in there anywhere. I have seen videos of, like, people on the line. It's like, well, our parents stayed married but decided to, like, or they divorced but live in the same house and then started dating and all that stuff. It's just like, that's horrible. Like, I don't think that works. That's the worst version of both of those situations. It's just like, no. So, but it can be especially hard for some people to move on. Like, some people get divorced and never date again, and I just don't really think that's the point of moving on and separating from somebody. Is you want to move on and try to be happy again in whatever form that takes. Some people don't want to date afterwards, and they're just happy being single because maybe your marriage was that fucked up.
Yeah.
And that happens. So, but you got to do at the end of the day what's going to be happiest and healthiest for everybody involved. So, which isn't easy. And like you said, it comes with a lot of stigma no matter what you do.
It does.
Yeah.
And people wonder why I am so hesitant to get married.
Yeah.
Even though I would like to. Yes, I would like to. But with my dating history, I'm always thinking about, when is that point going to come where I'm just so sick of the person I'm around and, things just go south and I want out.
Yeah. It's hard, I think. I personally think that when you're dating somebody before you get married, you need to date them for several years, then live together for a point, and then get married, because you need to know all of the stages of a person first. Mm. It's not a date for a year or two and then get married situation. It's a 5-year plus situation. And even then, you have to go through stuff with people. You have to learn how they experience and handle different situations, like emergencies and things like that, or changes. And it gives you an idea of, if you look at that person 5 years into this relationship and they're exactly the same with no changes as they were on day one, that's not cool.
Nah.
It's you want somebody who's actually doing something,
I would like to meet somebody and date them, and if they have any medical conditions while around me, let's say a stroke, and I don't want to feel oh, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
You're bleeding on my floor. Which is how I felt in my last relationship.
Yeah. When you're more concerned about the floor than the person, it's over.
He hit his head on the water bowl for the cats. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going, there's blood on the floor, now I gotta clean out the water bowl because it's bloody. I'm could you stop that?
Mm-hmm.
Go do it somewhere else.
It's that's how you know, this relationship is over. So, yeah. And sometimes it takes those kinds of things to understand that, look, this needs to stop, and it needs to be over and all that. But
I have yet to find someone who doesn't disgust me with how they live.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how you live day to day?
Yeah.
That's what you eat? That's how you clean?
Well, I honestly, that's kind of a men thing, and with your new pride nails, maybe you'll
Listen, it is such an unfortunate thing that I'm attracted to men. All right. If I could be attracted to women, I would be. I'd be married by now.
If it was a choice, many women would not choose men. That's how you know being gay is not a choice, because there would be a lot more gay women. Mostly any of them who've had to date a man.
There will literally be gay men and lesbians.
Uh-huh.
Because gay men,
fantastic, love them.
Fantastic. You're fabulous, clean, hygiene, everything.
Polite. I don't have to worry about choosing between them and a bear. Because the gay guy would be fine. So
he'd come to my rescue.
Afterwards, we'd go get mimosas or something, and maybe brunch.
If gay was a choice, I'd be gay.
Any woman who's had to deal with the men that you have dealt with would choose the same.
If being gay was a choice, Aaron and I would have been married 5 years ago.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Jessica has said this before. She's it was in the chat that I put you in. She's like, I don't want to kill people. I just want to kill men.
Uh-huh.
So Jessica just hates men. And unfortunately, but if any of us had the choice, we would choose a woman.
Mm-hmm. Women, much more sane.
Much more sane.
When was the last time you heard about a woman getting going on one Tinder date and then breaking into another woman's house and with a bandolier of knives ready to cut her up or something. Like, no, you don't hear about that.
No.
Women aren't that kind of crazy. If I ran into a woman or bear in the woods, I'd choose the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Just, yep.
Yeah. Yeah. The only time you really hear about women in the news being psychotic is, like, they chopped off their husband's dick because they, I don't know, tried to force themselves on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Like, yeah. I think that should be a standard punishment for that, to be fair. But, yeah, like if it was a choice, there would be a lot more gay women in the world. And that's how you know folks, it's not a choice.
It's not a choice. It never will be a choice.
Stay safe out there when you go on your Tinder dates. Don't go hiking with anybody on a first date. Don't go anywhere alone. Get a tracking app.
The people that want to go hiking on a first date, I'm like, why?
I
what
saw
makes you think that, like, I want to go into the middle of the wilderness where I'll have no reception?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be sweating and disgusting and huffing and puffing and look horrible.
But also with a stranger into the middle of nowhere where you might murder me and leave my body for the wolves. I saw a video
sounds like a great first date.
And it was like, it was a guy and a woman and they were like talking back and forth. And he's like, well, my like standard like go-to first date for women was to offer to take them hiking. And she's like, no, absolutely not. And he's like, why is that weird? And he's like, because you might murder me in the woods. He's like, well, you don't know that. And she's like, but I don't know you wouldn't either.
Yep.
And she's like,
I don't know
not.
you.
Yeah.
I don't know you.
I would have to be really good friends with some guy to like go hiking with them. And even then, like by myself, absolutely not. Like there needs to be at least several other people, like 5 other people. And there should be at least an even ratio of men to women, if not more women.
Yeah, more women to men.
Yeah. Just like, no. Because there should probably be like if there's 5 people in the group, those 3 need to be women.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, heck no. And it has to be women that I know would not be afraid to throw hands. I don't want the ones that are going to scream and collapse.
Aaron and Jessica.
Yeah, like it can't be the women going to scream and cry and collapse on the floor. But no, it needs to be the ones willing to throw hands. Like if Ani and I got lost in the woods, I wouldn't be worried because we would both be willing to throw hands with the bear. So
yeah, well,
more willing to throw hands with a man. So
yes, very very much willing to throw hands at the man and be like,
especially if we run into him in the woods.
It's like you run into a man in the woods. It's like, oh hell no,
no. Just be like, no,
you see this stick? It's gonna be your best friend right now.
Well, any final comments on Mrs. Doubtfire?
The secondhand embarrassment in this movie is still top notch.
It is.
Still gets me.
Yeah. That whole dinner scene. It's just kind of a ooh. I talked a lot about the smoking habits for a reason. Like, because I'm just like, oh god, I'm already embarrassed. It's just started. But the secondhand embarrassment in that movie is strong.
It's strong, and it still holds up to this day, man.
Yep. But hey, it worked out in the end. Mrs. Doubtfire still gets to exist, and he gets a better relationship with his kids.
He does, and it works out in the end.
Yeah. Still peak 90s movie. It's very, very good. It actually had a really good message for that time period about like divorce and children of divorce and stuff like that. So that was probably very helpful for the time and stuff like that too. But yeah, it's a great movie. And anybody who hasn't seen it should
please go watch it.
I think it's on Disney Plus. Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. Go watch it on Disney Plus. Along with literally any other Robin Williams movie, because Robin Williams movies always.
If you haven't seen The Birdcage, please watch it. Like, I will never forget. This was senior year. It was senior year. Before we all went off to college.
Mm-hmm.
I was over at Lara's house, and we're hanging out, and we're like, let's go rent a movie. Or do something, right? Went back when you would go rent movies. We went to Hollywood Video.
Movie.
Yeah. So we're talking about what kind of movies to rent or whatever and watch, right? And Lara's mom is like, oh no. Lara's like, have you seen Birdcage? I'm like, no. And her mom from the other room goes, go to the store and rent it right now. So we did. And that's how I watched The Birdcage. And I was forever changed.
It's a good movie. I saw it many years later. I saw it pretty recently, and for one of my anthropology classes. So it was a study in like cultural norms and stuff like that. But it's definitely a good movie. Wildly different from this movie, mind you.
Very.
But you guys go pick a Robin Williams movie. Go watch it. It'll make your day better, no matter which movie it is. Go watch Flubber or something. And we hope you guys enjoyed this. And we will see you for more nostalgia next time. Bye, guys.
Bye. Tune in next week for more fuckery because we have some serious questions and concerns.